Hi, I think this is a good time to review. So we've covered a lot of material in the first 10 weeks, and we're trying to manage forests sustainably. So how can we put all that together and make sure that we are doing the best job possible? First, we have to remember that there's non-commodity values of forests. These are the values that aren't sold in the store. So soils, water, air, climate, wildlife, fish, aesthetic value, carbon dioxide, oxygen, and recreational uses are all things that we use the forest for, but they're not necessarily a product that's packaged and sold. So keep this in mind when you're thinking about ecosystem integrity. The next one is forest products, and it's kind of complicated because we import and export products, and we have to make a profit in order to be able to afford to manage some of our forests. So we look at lumber and log products, engineered wood products, other uses, miscellaneous, and recycling of paper and wood for some of the things to consider with this. And later we'll go to a sawmill and we'll also look at a video about the global impact of forest uses. Here's a quick diagram for you that just shows that we get sugars and syrups and oils and dyes and teas and oils from the roots. And the sawmill we'll be going to uses every part of the tree as much as possible. So it's going to be a very good model for you. So in order to manage the forest, first we do a fill in the blank. What do we do first to figure out what we need to do? We do a forest inventory. I hope you're all comfortable with how to do that. We'll do that up at Rocky Mountain National Park and give you one more experience. We can do a fixed radius plot. We can calculate basal area, which is the density of the trees. We look at regeneration as our next crop of trees. And we also look at other factors such as wind, soil, temperature, and sunlight. We want to inventory for insects, disease, and fires, and some of the practices we might use are to maintain good tree vigor or health, to do thinnings, to cut the logs, remove the bark, burn or treat with chemicals to destroy mountain pine beetle. For diseases, we prune, we can do a sanitation thin, we can harvest and then regenerate the forest. We can choose species that are resistant, or we can let nature take its course. And fire, we can do prescribed burns. We practice defensible space to protect structures and human lives. And we also just this summer did a let burn policy where in this case there were no structures or human beings in the space of the fire, and we were able to let the fire burn and put itself out. Ecosystem management is contrasting with traditional management, which was harvest, regenerate, also managed in the 70s for watershed, wildlife, range, recreation, and timber. We also have words such as adaptive forestry, fostering biodiversity, and new forestry, focusing on sustainable forestry. But to achieve ecosystem sustainability and do ecosystem management, we're looking at economic feasibility, social acceptability, and the ecological capability. And we're trying to make those three circles of management overlap as much as possible to give you that gray zone and to create a sustainable forest. Generally, simplifying it, it's usually less clear cutting. That includes more planning, higher costs, and management, more intermediate operations. And remember, that's the immature forest, and that's TSI, Timber Stand Improvement Practices. The yields will fall, but you'll create more sustainable harvests and more stewardship with the land. So this next section is huge. It's a big part of your book. It's managing the forest for recreation, wildlife, watershed, range, um, aesthetics, and wilderness. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to simplify this part of the chapter and just highlight the main ideas. Let's take a break.